Welcome in to yet another special edition of Sport Ball. I'm your boy Sam. With me, as always, my two confidants, my two nemesi, Seth and Kyle. Boys, how we doing? Seth, some are calling this your flu game. Is that accurate?
I have been battling the flu. I won't get too graphic, but let's just say I haven't had a solid poop in at least 3 days, and it is not a small sample size. So
Is that you
you,
think that's not too graphic?
that's correct.
Kyle doesn't care. He has kids, so poop means nothing to me, nothing to
Yeah.
him.
I hate it. Mine, Seth's, my kids, all of the above.
Kyle, you went to the Lilac Parade today. Anything to report?
Absolutely not. It's getting worse by the year. Um, it's about it. There's still
I'm
people in miniature cars. There's still
That's all I
band,
really care
marching
about is the
bands.
guys in
So
miniature cars. Yeah,
I'm kind of anti-parade. I mean, I get it for
yeah, me too.
kids. I feel like you just have to sit. If you're lucky, you're sitting. If you're unlucky, you're standing in the sun. It's always a million degrees. Nothing really happens. You're just wrangling whoever you're with. But that's
Yeah,
just
I thought about this whilst there today. The things that I've grown to probably hate the most and are just so pointless to me, and I think just everyone in general. Fireworks and
yes.
parades.
hmm
Yeah, fireworks are terrible as well.
They haven't changed at all since the entirety of my life.
no innovation.
Absolutely zero.
Yeah, we should just get rid of them.
Do it once every 5 years. Celebrate 4th of July with fireworks every 5 years.
It would be novel.
Otherwise, just give me the day. Just give me the day off.
Any
That's how
other
I'm
old
feeling
man?
today.
Any other old
And
man on the lawn takes we'd like to
that's the
get
podcast
off.
for today, folks. Thanks for listening.
I should mention that Annie has started listening in earnest, my mother, to this
Really,
podcast. Yeah.
we have to watch what we
Um.
say now.
Yeah. So Kyle, clean out that dirty mouth of yours.
Shit.
Will she be actually listening, or she just kind of puts it on in the background?
That's how she falls asleep.
Yeah, could see that.
Does anyone really listen?
I certainly don't.
Three. Three, I think.
We have Matt, who just listens until he hears his name.
Mm-hmm.
Nick
That's pretty much
listens.
it. That's true. And actually, someone text Nick right now because he's supposed to give us his picks for these series as we're
Uh,
live recording. So we know he's not up to anything, any
I'll,
chicanery.
I'll text him.
Thank you. Well, boys, we're in the flux of the NBA playoffs. So if you're a football listener, keep listening. You might learn a thing or two, right, Kyle?
Yes.
We're about to reach the final four, you might say, the conference finals in the West and the East. Today, I had the pleasure, nay, the privilege of sitting down with our friend Kyle right here and watching the Oklahoma City Thunder dismantle the Nuggets on their home floor to reach the Western Conference Finals. Now, it kind of felt like one of those things, right, Kyle, where like the Nuggets were the older team, a championship winning team, and it was kind of a step that we needed to see the Thunder take to reach their ascension into a title team. They were a 68 win team, one of the best teams of all time according to the metrics. Um, but Jokic and his veteran guile as well as some, late shot making and some luck in game one kind of led them to this game seven. And I think this was an important stepping stone for this young Thunder team on their journey to become a title contender and favorite. Were you impressed with what you saw out there?
Today? Yeah, definitely. Um, there was like it was like game seven, really. You think at that point, both teams, no matter the series, right? We get a game seven in the playoffs. We kind of feel like both teams know more or less what the other team is going to do. And I really felt like Mark Dagnall was like, if we get to a game seven, there's one more card I have up my sleeve, and Denver's not going to expect it. And they pulled it today. And that was the limiting of Isaiah Hartenstein minutes and going relatively very small and putting Alex Caruso on the floor for 25 minutes, I think, 26 minutes, but having him be the primary defender of Jokic. And it completely threw everything off for Denver. Just the defense that they were able to then put on everybody else and kind of just play everybody else straight up and just had Caruso work his incredible magic when it came to navigating ball screens or off ball screens that others are setting on Jokic to stay attached to him and essentially just deny every single screen was just incredible. I mean, Jokic box score wise looks like he has like a decent game, but at the same time he had a really bad game and nobody else on Denver stepped up. Incredible
Yeah,
job by the Thunder.
it was interesting because Kason Wallace played 28 minutes, Alex Caruso played 25, and Jordan Hardenstein only played 17 each. Seth, and they kind of just unleashed their bench guards defensively on the Nuggets, and that's how they kind of went out.
Yeah, and I mean the all the numbers are a little bit lower than they would be just because they didn't have to play guys like the last 10 minutes of the game or whatever.
Yeah,
Yep.
But I mean, Caruso was incredible for sure. There were a few times like Jokic tried to kind of just bully him and back him down. Sometimes it worked, but the Thunder really swarmed right around the basket too. And they just got into that mode where their defense was so incredible. They'd get steals, deflections, even off a miss, and then they were off and running. And so it was just defense turns into offense, and you blink and they're up by 15. And then you blink again, they're up by 25. So, yeah, really saw the best of who the Thunder can be.
hmm
And I think when they're playing like that, there's nobody in the league who can beat them. It's just a question of how many times in a series can they do that.
Yeah, we were
Yeah.
talking today,
The,
Kyle, with Nick about how it's like it's almost like the Celtics with their threes, where if they're hitting threes are unbeatable. It's like the way the Thunder go for turnovers and steals and deflections. If they're hitting on that and not fouling, but instead getting all ball and creating those turnovers, it just feels like you can't even, pass the ball on them and you just feel suffocated.
yeah, completely suffocating. Like Seth said, even on like just um missed shots. One of the stats NBA people that I follow during the game was like a missed shot is the equivalent of a live ball turnover today for OKC with how fast they were still getting
Yeah.
into
Hmm.
their break. The other way, it was really insane.
It's a good
When they're
team. I
playing with
take.
that. And I really need to see them win that game seven and now I think a lot of people were saying um like that game seven was for the title, which I don't really agree with because I have a lot of respect for the Timberwolves. And I don't think that's going to be an easy series whatsoever. But it did feel like this was the first big test for this Thunder team on their quest to reach the finals.
The whole
Um,
series, dude. I
yeah,
right. We That's the one thing that I hate every year or anytime there's a young team that's doing well, that's projected to do well. It's like, well, they don't have the scars yet. Well, it's like they're young, they're good. Obviously, they haven't won a championship. So until someone wins a championship, then we say that they don't have the playoff scars. But you have to get those, you have to make it through the playoffs to win the championship in the first place. So it's like it to me it's like it's just a dumb thing. Obviously, they need experience in some of these situations, which I guess is what I'm getting at, which is what we saw this entire series, even starting with game one, right? That really should have been an OKC win. There was some blunders down the stretch within the final minute, especially. Um, Missed free
Yeah.
throws from guys that were making free throws the rest of the game. Um, and then just even on Dagnall's part, right? He's an incredible coach. We've talked about it numerous times, but it's not just always the players. There was some questionable things
100%.
like calling for the intentional foul when you're up three, which in my opinion, again, great strategy, but certain times and ways to implement it. And even still, they did it when Jokic was off the floor, and that's what everybody was up in arms about. In my opinion, on or off the floor, whatever, okay with the foul, because they still got 3-point shooters out there with or without Jokic. They're gonna more or less, you know, try to deny or intentionally foul anyways. The worst part was they did it off of a make at their own free throw line. They didn't even like pressure them to get the ball past half court, get some time off the clock, kind of standard things. So I think even just from game one, they learned a lot.
Well,
Dagnall learned a lot.
yeah,
So
100%.
it's starting at the beginning of the series and all the way through. I
Well, it's like
think
you're
that's the
saying,
type of
Kyle.
thing
Yeah.
that pushes them to be able to win the entire
Yeah.
thing.
I mean, you look at like you're saying, like Dagnall and coached a masterpiece in this game with the way he used Caruso and the way he managed the minutes. And I think he even grew along the series, like you're saying. Like I did not think he coached a good game one, and I think he kind of overthought it in game one. Um, and he had like Chet guarding Jokic as his primary defender. That didn't really work in game one. And so I agree. It's like, we obviously don't know they can do it until they do, but young teams like this, like I mean, they had playoff scars last year when they lost against the Mavericks. It kind of reminds me of the Warriors back in 15, where no one really thought they were going to win. They were still kind of up and coming, but they had that tough playoff series in 14 against the Spurs, where they brought them to get 7 games.
It went out for you too, right?
Yeah.
We have
Sam,
no
you cut
clue what
out
you
there.
said.
It was the greatest point I've ever made. Let's let it be lost to history.
Perfect. The last thing we heard was it was like Warriors in 2015, previous year
Yeah,
playoff series against the Spurs, and that was the end of you.
that's pretty much all I said. That's sometimes it's all it takes, right? Is one playoff run to know what it takes, and then
Yeah.
next year take the mantle away. Uh, our final four: OKC, Timberwolves, Pacers, and we were going to have a historic championship no matter what. Let me read this post from Reddit here. The Timberwolves have had zero finals appearances in their 36 years of existence. OKC, their last title was 46 years ago, but that was as the Sonics. The Knicks have had zero championships in the last 52 years. They haven't been to the NBA Finals in 26 years. The Pacers, zero championships in 49 years as an NBA franchise since they moved over to the ABA. So we're going to see some history here, no matter what, and some teams that deserve to reach the top of the sport for the first time in a long time. Um, I think it's exciting. Like we're not going to have a repeat champion. This will be our seventh different champion in the last 7 seasons. Now that the Nuggets have been eliminated, we're kind of seeing Seth. We're kind of seeing like the parity hit the NBA that we've kind of been wanting. I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the old debate of do we want parity or do we like having dynasties? Um, I think it's overall probably good for the league and certainly good to kind of spread the wealth across fan bases and um, make it so that you certainly don't want to start the year and feel like, well, we already know who's going to win, right? Where we had that with like the KD Warriors, and
Yeah,
that's definitely what we want to avoid. So it's good to be in a spot like this, although we might be, well, yeah, who knows? I feel like we're gonna be like, well, OKC is gonna win next year for sure, and then but we've
Right.
said that the last couple of years and it hasn't been true. So
And
they haven't even won
Kyle,
this year yet.
right. And Kyle, the Nuggets, let's do a little obituary for our Nuggies here. Um, First of all, Aaron Gordon played this game with a grade 2 hamstring injury. Probably not a good idea. But you have to respect the heart and the toughness of the kid. Could have definitely led to a serious injury. But he limped around there and gave it his all. Obviously, Michael Porter Jr. was on one shoulder. Um, Jamal was not good really in this game or for a lot of the playoffs. In my opinion, it's like they fired their coach a week before the season or before the playoffs started. To me, it's a testament to Jokic and a couple other players' championship medal, like Aaron Gordon, that they even got this far.
It's
Um,
truly due to a few miraculous Aaron Gordon
yeah,
shots
Aaron
and
Gordon,
an
man,
improbable Russell Westbrook three
yeah,
that they're even past the first round in the first place.
yeah. But it's just like you have to credit, I think Jokic and Gordon coming out of these playoffs, like Gordon especially, I really think even more highly of him than I did coming into this playoffs. Jamal Murray could
He
take
is
or
what he
leave,
is.
right?
His highs are high, obviously, as we know, and I think we talked about this probably kind of like Jimmy Butler, right? Where everybody always remembers the highs with him, especially playoffs. It's
Yeah.
granted him the name playoff Jimmy or whatever people want to say. In totality, though, they're really no different than their regular season selves when you look back at just kind of their statistics. So
Seth, were you
they're,
expecting this turn on Jimmy from Kyle here?
I was not.
you're welcome.
He's coached by Steve Kerr now. He has no choice.
Yeah. He's been
But
tarnished.
I agree, Kyle. It's like Jamal is what he is at this point. You can't expect him to be good every game because he's just not going to be. Um, so coming into next season, Seth, the Nuggets, are they done with?
I wish I knew what he asked that they were done with. He might
You
have the
think
worst internet on the planet.
is he done with Russ, maybe?
Yeah,
Nice. Probably. It doesn't seem like most any team wants to have Russ for more than a year these days, so
he's good for a year.
he's okay for a year.
Do you think Adelman is going to be their full-time coach?
Yeah. Everyone hires their interims now.
I don't
Boss
understand it. What
baby?
did he even prove? I even told
I,
Sam, like, all of the highlights of any coaching done during this playoffs was highlight well, it was videos of Jokic screaming at the team telling them what to do while Adelman wasn't even in frame, or Russ backing up Jokic and reiterating to the other guys what needs to be done. I didn't even see Adelman like actually coaching on the sideline during a game until quarter four of the blowout of game seven today, where he was actually yelling at players, the bench players that don't see minutes, what to do.
I mean, it's hard to say like when they do those mic'd up things, there's always kind of bullshit and they can't actually do any like real coaching. They can't like reveal any real coaching things, you know what I mean?
Jokic wasn't mic'd up. They were just showing highlights of him coaching the bench and a timeout. They didn't show any of Adelman, I'm pretty sure the entire series. I don't know if he did.
Yeah, I mean, just make Jokic the player coach. If Bill Russell couldn't do it, why not Jokic? The two best centers ever, right, Seth?
No, but close.
Uh, Quick obituary for the Warriors too. Run it back one more year with Steph, Draymond, and Jimmy in their mid-30s, Seth.
I say cut Draymond and ban him from the league as a starting point, and then play Kuminga instead and give that a shot.
Kuminga's gone.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll trade him, but
As
We'll
I
take him on the
mean,
Bulls.
the Warriors hate him. They're not going to play him, so
Give me him as a Patrick Williams upgrade.
100%.
I mean, it's hard to upgrade a wet mop, but okay. So this is disrespectful to me, DraftKings, if you're listening, which I know you are. The Thunder are minus 330 favorites against the Timberwolves in the Western Conference Finals. To me, it feels like a long series, a 6 or 7 gamer, but the favorite is Thunder in 5. Seth,
I
explain.
don't understand. Hold on. Before this, you've been saying for the last at least two Western Conference games in that series that no matter what, you're picking the winner of that game against Minnesota. So I don't know why you're like appalled at the fact that it's minus 330.
Maybe DraftKings consulted me before they set the line, but
What were you going to
I
tell them to do?
I feel like the favorite of OKC, I would say make the Thunder maybe like a minus 285. I mean, make Thunder in 6 or 7 the favorite would have been my opinion. Thunder in 5
Sam,
seems disrespectful.
do you know that?
Don't say it. Don't even say it. I know you're gonna say, "Do I know how Vegas sets the lines?"
Well, I mean, if you're saying, I think some people are gonna bet on Minnesota, but you're not gonna be one of them. Well, there's probably a lot of people who are just like you and
But
don't
I've
want to bet on
considered it.
Minnesota.
I think it's a 50, like more of a 50-50 series, and they're making it out to be.
You should put some money on the Timberwolves, then you
I
sounds like you
probably
got good
will.
odds. I doubt it.
Maybe a little nest egg for me.
I will, however, not be putting money on them because I don't gamble, but I am going to pick them in the series because I'm a man of principle.
I just
Are
like it to be
you?
known that Sam said it should be a 285 instead of 355, and that's a difference of 4 percentage points when you convert the
That's
odds.
huge. That's a big difference.
You're
Maybe you
right.
should.
74 versus 78% chance to
That's
win.
correct. Maybe you should crunch those numbers. Well, I feel like if they were minus 285, would have been the favorite would have been like Thunder in 6 or 7, which I think is proper.
Yeah, Thunder in 6 as opposed to Thunder in 5. Huge
Yeah.
difference.
I mean, yeah, I think it is. Like they're treating them as
One game.
like I think it should be more like how the Knicks and Pacers series.
They're treating them like they're one of the best teams we've ever seen. Like they are, statistically.
I don't remember what the line was going in against the Nuggets. I'd be curious if this is different.
Hold on. I'll tell you right
I
now,
guess this
actually.
leads me to believe most people are picking the Thunder, eh?
Against the Nuggets, OKC was minus 750 to win the series.
Never mind then. I guess this is more respectful.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean,
Okay. I'm sorry, Vegas.
if you think about the way we thought about these teams entering the playoffs,
Right.
like as I mentioned to you, Sam, earlier, everyone at ESPN picked the Lakers to beat the Timberwolves. So if we think, okay, the Timberwolves are a team that's probably going to lose in the first round, the
Right.
Thunder are one of the best teams we've seen in a decade, then it's like, well,
Right.
yeah, it should be a sweep.
But the T-Wolves, maybe they kind of won me over the course of the playoffs, maybe a little more than I expected. But
Yeah.
maybe I'm just overrating the Lakers, and that was kind of a flawed team. Should have been an easy win like it was. Obviously, the Warriors didn't have Steph, and a lot of those games were close. So maybe I shouldn't be thinking as highly of the Timberwolves as I was. Like, I feel like they've kind of impressed me over their 20 game stretch at the end of the season and the playoffs. You know what I mean? Um, but maybe the competition hasn't been as stiff as I'm kind of thinking of it.
Yeah. I I'm just saying what the general perception is and that I think the Vegas line makes sense. I do think there's reason to be optimistic about the Timberwolves, but I
Hmm.
feel like most people are for sure gonna pound the Thunder.
I just wonder how they're going to guard Julius Randle, Kyle, whomst someone might have called me somewhat of a Julius Randle hater coming into this series. Uh, and some people are calling me a Julius Randle believer after this playoff run.
Which people are calling you that?
My closest friends,
Hmm.
you two. That's pretty much it. I just feel like he's been so good this playoffs. I've never been a Randle guy, but like, if they're going to double Ant, you need someone playmaking out of that, and he's been great at that. He's been absolutely bullying. Like he just puts Draymond in the basket in the last series. So that makes me think I don't know who on the Thunder is going to be able to stop that. I think it could be a big Randall series. And he's really impressed me with the way he's played so far. What do you think, Kyle?
Yeah. Randall's been a revelation. I remember before the season when the trade went down, I told you guys that I liked the fit for both teams, honestly, because it gave Minnesota that opportunity for kind of a secondary ball handler more so than Karl Anthony Towns. Um, I think it took some time before they got there, but once they finally kind of figured out how to play together, um, it was evident at how well the construction of the roster worked together. Essentially, Ant is the primary guy most of the time, but
Yeah,
giving them the secondary option too of if he's getting doubled the entire time like he has been a lot in the playoffs. And this is what we
right.
talked about going into the Lakers series, right? And how I was
Yeah,
saying how after last season, I think there was a lot of work put in by Ant to work on breaking those double teams because it was really necessary.
yeah,
And it was evident, right, that he did do that. But now we have Randall who's able to also take the ball and be the distributor and kind of work. He works a little different than Karl Anthony Towns too, in the fact that like he'll back someone down. He'll drive to the rim. He'll cut to the rim. Ant's a lot more of a finesse kind of guy, right? Or Ant, I'm sorry. Cat is more of like a
yeah,
finesse kind of guy.
yeah.
Randall's just a brick shit house bully ball guy.
He's got
And
to be one
when
of the
he's
strongest guys
feeling
in the
it,
league, dude.
yeah, I think so. I mean, LeBron was having trouble with him on him. LeBron couldn't back him down. Like that's saying a lot. I understand LeBron's 40, but he's still
Right.
LeBron. So, um, really impressive what Randall's done. I even said it. I don't know if I said it on here, I guess, but I told you guys my change in perception of Rudy Gobert these playoffs too, starting with the Lakers series. Like his ability now to be respectable at that size, single coverage on anybody was a big factor in that Lakers series. Like he was not getting worked and just giving up all kinds of isolation scoring, even when Luca was the guy that was going at him.
Yeah,
Um, Altogether, they've just really, they're clicking now, and it's evident.
yeah,
They kind of know who they are. They have the depth. Like it's gonna be, I think, like you said, it's gonna be a tough series. But I don't know if I'm supposed to say picks now. Ultimately, I'm going OKC still. I've decided. I was a little up in the air.
yeah.
The experience from the last year's playoffs and then what we saw through the first two rounds so far from Minnesota had me questioning maybe Minnesota is just a little more ready. But after today's game, seeing, I think,
Hmm.
more or less all the cards on the table,
Yeah.
OKC, like you said, when that defense is able to play how they want to play,
Hmm.
I just don't know if there's anyone in the league that can keep up, even with how good
Yeah.
Minnesota is defensively.
It's interesting too, before we get to picks, like you were saying, Kyle, that Randall trade was kind of a win-win for both teams, it
Hmm.
seems like. And what's funny, Seth, is we could see that be the finals, right? We could see the Knicks and the T-Wolves in the finals, and that would be the real litigation of that trade, probably, right? Um,
Yeah, I mean, we could see it in the sense that it is currently possible. I would be surprised if that were to actually happen. But it's certainly a lot more likely now than it was, a
I
couple
mean, they're
months
two of
ago.
the final four teams, so
Right. Uh, I also wanted to say, I think the other key thing about Gobert, and I've heard Zach Lowe talk about this, but it's not only is he able to hold his own on switches defensively, but he's punishing teams on offense, right? It used to be if you go small against Gobert, he couldn't punish you.
right.
but you saw in the last couple series, not so much like getting the ball in the low post and making moves, but catching lobs and big thing like getting offensive rebounds and putbacks. And so it's like if you need to play a big to rebound against Gobert and Gobert can switch screens, yeah, then it really is a matchup problem for you.
I think that's one of the big things too with Gobert that has been extremely evident these playoffs is he knows what he's going to do too. Like there's kind of three or four things that Gobert is going to do.
Yeah.
It's a lob, it's a putback. He gets past the ball in the post. It's one dribble. He's either going up or he's passing it. That's it. Like he's
Do not
not
take two
thinking
dribbles.
too much. He's
Right.
not trying to do too much. It's clear and decisive on what he's going to do when he has the ball. So,
And I think a lot what
big improvement.
helps with that is having a secondary playmaker in Randall, right? Like he
Yeah.
doesn't have to do anything. Seth, do you have the guts to pick your hometown Timberwolves?
I do. My question is, do I say 6 or 7?
That's tough. I could
But
again, I could see it either way. I've went back and forth before this game, and even still, I thought about it after. Ultimately, like I said, I'm going OKC, and I don't know how many games I'm going to say either. Um, I don't think it gets to 7 if OKC wins. So I'm probably 5 or 6 for OKC. If I would have went Minnesota, I would have been in your boat, in your shoes, saying, is it going to be 6 or is it going to be 7? The atmosphere for OKC today in a game 7 makes me
yeah,
feel like if Minnesota does it, it has to be in
maybe
6.
6. Yeah, it
I've
could
never
be.
been there, but that seems like the toughest place to play, dude. It just feels like when they're all wearing the same t-shirt and they seem like they're right on top of the court, like they do their blue out or their white out.
I
It
mean,
looks
I
insane in
feel
there.
like every stadium in the country all wears the same t-shirts.
I noticed
No, not
the
like that.
Nuggets don't do it.
Not yeah. It's not like the OKC fans. It's truly everybody, except for the
Yeah,
one
I
guy. There is one season ticket holder that sits courtside that refuses to wear the shirt, and he's been getting lambasted on social media the entire playoffs. Um, all the time, screenshots of him just put the shirt on, dude. But uh, I think there was also a few comments from NBA players during the series on Twitter saying how underratedly, OKC might be one of the loudest crowds in the entire league.
yeah, it looks like it. Um, so Seth, you're going T-Wolves in 6 then?
Yeah.
Kyle, you're going OKC in 5? I
Yeah,
think I'm gonna go OKC in 6. I think they can win on the road
I might
in
be
a closeout
6
game.
actually. I thought about because that would be only one win then for Minnesota. They're good. They're good for at least 2. So yeah, I'm gonna go OKC 6.
If our listeners are wondering, Nick is going OKC in 7. Proper respect for the Timberwolves. Vegas, listen. All right, the East. Seth, let's hold a little obituary, a little funeral for
Let's
your Celtics, not for even this season, but maybe for the next. They fall to the Knicks. People don't realize this, but they were going to go down 3-1 no matter what. But when they're about to lose the fourth game, Jason Tatum went down with an Achilles injury.
Or at the
And
exact same time that on the clock as Kobe Bryant tore his Achilles. Again, Jason Tatum just cannot do anything original in his NBA career, but go ahead,
too
Seth, go
soon.
off.
Seth, obviously, you guys were one of the title favorites this year, and you still have a great team without Tatum, as evidence in your win against the Celtics in or against the Knicks in Game 5. Next year, you're rolling out Jaylen Brown, Derek White. Maybe you move Drew Holiday or Kristaps Porzingis. Al Horford, does he come back for one more ride? Is Peyton Pritchard your starting point guard this year? Can you guys grab a 4 seed in the decrepit East even without Tatum? How do you see next year going now that Tatum has fallen to this injury?
Yeah, I mean, I think they'll try to compete. I think Kristaps is probably gone. I think Drew is 50-50. I'd love to see him keep him.
but we'll see. Um, I would like them to hand the car keys to Derek White to run the offense.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Agreed.
and I think they will hope that they can be, yeah, like a top 4 seed in the East, and that there may be a prayer of Tatum coming back for the playoffs.
Yeah.
A lot of people making a big deal on Celtics blog and the Bill Simmons Reddit page and stuff like that about that Tatum had the surgery the morning after the injury.
Unheard of.
I mean, they did go through like I think Durant was like 2 days later, which is kind of the soonest, and a lot of players it's like 3, 4, or 5 days later.
Mhm.
And there's some, I guess, evidence that if you can do it before like the swelling really hits, then has better
And especially if you
outcomes,
don't have to
whatever.
fly somewhere too, I'm sure it helps.
Right. They were lucky in the sense that he was in New York already, and like the, greatest
The
Achilles
best doctors are
surgeon
there.
was already there and
Yeah.
cleared his schedule. Um, so I think there's some optimism that he may come back. Obviously, they have to be really careful with that because
Yeah, that's a lot of stress to put on him too.
it
Like
may
I would almost
just,
tell him just we're
yeah,
not
it may
counting on
just not
you,
be
you
worth
know.
it.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, he's gonna want to come back as soon as he can for sure. So I think that's what they'll try to do. I mean, who knows if something happens like mid-season, you know, if Jaylen Brown has an injury, then maybe they'll
Hmm.
just shut it down and tank.
Right. One more
But
injury, maybe you just try to tank. Yeah.
yeah.
I think you're
Um,
obviously too good as currently just constructed to just go into the season wanting to get a high draft pick, right?
yeah, I think so. I mean, especially people were talking like around draft, which I didn't realize initially, like um first 2 picks are going to the West for the draft this year.
Right.
We might see Giannis go to the West. It's
The
just like
balance
the
of
West
power is just
keeps
shifting
getting
even more.
better and the East
Yeah.
keeps getting worse. So yeah,
Like
depending on
who
who we
you
all
competing with next
lose.
year, right? Like the Cavs, Orlando.
Yeah, I feel like without Tatum, we're in that kind of Orlando,
Yeah.
Detroit atmosphere.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think they
It's a
need to approach it, their the team next year, kind of similar uh, to Minnesota, who we just talked about, right? Put Derek White kind of in the ant role in terms of main facilitator and let Jalen be kind of that secondary guy. We saw it in game 5, right? His ability, and anytime Tatum's out for the most part, I kind of feel like he feels like he needs to step up and be the guy, and I don't think that's always best for their team.
Well,
Um,
it was like how you saw the dichotomy of it, right? In game five, he had 12 assists, and the next game it felt like he couldn't even dribble.
exactly. Yeah,
He
which is
also had a
why I
torn
think they just give
meniscus.
it to White. He had that in game 5 as well, but
So was that his injury stuff since the end of the regular season?
I assume so. I mean, they always called it a bone bruise from what I saw, but I feel like it was one of those. It felt okay some days, not so great other days. I'm sure part of that was like recovery, right? He went all out game 5, carried the team, and wasn't able to sustain it for,
Yeah.
2 days, a day later, 2 days later, whatever.
Yeah,
So,
like if Jalen Brown is your best player, that's just the question. Like, where are you in the East? And I think you're still in the top six
yeah,
with a team around him. It's a shame though. And are we sorry for him, Kyle? I don't know. Probably not,
it's
right?
sorry for who.
Seth, 18 titles. He doesn't deserve our sympathy, right?
A lot of things I've seen going around social media too, as you know, I'm chronically online. Is the title 2 years ago, does that end up,
1 year ago.
yeah, sorry, 1 year ago. Um, is that the peak of the Tatum Brown era, right? What is it?
Right.
6 of the last 8 Eastern Conference Finals that
Could
they
be.
make, and they end up walking away together with only one title, potentially.
Certainly could be, yeah.
Is that it, that doesn't live up to the expectations, obviously, of a Celtics fan, I feel like, right? Because it's always been like, we're right there. We're one of the best teams in the league. We're right there.
Right.
But to come out of
Like
it with just one
what's the
finals
over under for
championship.
titles they should have won with the Jays, right? You know.
Yeah, I
I
mean, I
mean,
definitely
yeah.
it was partially devastating because it felt like we have this window that was sort of last year, this year, and maybe next
Yeah.
year. And I mean, you could say like 2023 as well, like was part of the window that we didn't make it happen.
Right.
That being said, like there's a lot of duos in NBA history who didn't win any championships. So I think we gotta, I'm for my own mental well-being, trying to be
Hmm.
grateful for what we did accomplish. And if it's over, hey, we got one. And I don't think it's guaranteed to be over. It's definitely more
Right.
likely given this injury. But Tatum's only 27. I think he'll come back from it about as good. And, worst case scenario, 2 years from now, we still have Tatum, Brown, and Derek White, and they're all, still in their late 20s, early 30s. So,
Right. And who knows, like in a couple years we still see the East as being for the taking as we see it now. You know, who knows what unforeseen things will happen. But right now,
Do you question Missoula at all? Are you like 100% like still he's the guy, or because what I've taken away from this, especially early on from this season or from these playoffs, right, is are you as a Celtics fan, and I guess the rest of Celtics fans, truly just okay with live by the three, die by the three, doesn't matter the lead? We saw a little bit of that change after that first blown 20-point lead in game one, where there was an entire quarter where they took just one shot inside the 3-point line. But it was still obviously their entire identity is built around threes. And did you catch the right side of variance during your finals run a year ago, where the team was? I'm trying to find this out. What's the where they fall in terms of like overall team 3-point percentage in playoff history? Because I feel like they got to be up there with probably the Warriors. But yeah, I don't know. Is Missoula truly the guy? And then there was the one end of game sequence too, where was that game two, or there it was the third loss that the Celtics had, I think, where Tatum ran down the middle of the lane, untouched, easy dunk, gets the
that was
ball
game two, I
back.
think.
Was that game two, right back to back? And ran the same exact play, no timeouts
Yeah.
taken, just assuming that the defense wasn't going to adjust at all.
well, and he's still young too. Like we forget because he won a title, but he's like 35, isn't he?
Is he
Yeah.
that young? Yeah.
Uh, well, to answer several questions there, I'm still fine with Joe Mazzulla. I don't think he's the best coach in the league, but I don't think we need to like make a change or panic about him. He's definitely somebody who has his philosophy and he sticks to kind of process over results. And I think he believes in his players, right? Yes, there's going to be more variance with 3-point shooting, but I don't think it's like, oh, we just got lucky that one year in the playoffs.
I'm not saying you're lucky. Obviously, you guys are made with a ton of
They're the best shooting team in the
really
league. Yeah.
good 3-point
Right.
scorers, but at the same time, you guys were
And
red hot that year. I mean,
yeah,
Peyton Pritchard is now known as like the what the end of end of quarter, end of half 3-point heave specialist. When I went back and I think over the course of the regular season, the playoffs, he's actually only made I think two over the last 2 years, maybe three,
yeah, that wasn't really a
behind
thing.
half court.
That became a thing last year, and then he didn't really keep it going this year.
Yeah.
Um, I think the other thing about it was like there were a lot of times where okay, our lead is slipping away or we're failing to come back, right? And it was like we're missing a lot of twos as well. So,
Yeah, that's true.
um, I think it would be ideal if we had kind of a better secondary option when the threes aren't falling. Um, but it just kind of depends on the day, I think, and who has it that day and who doesn't. I think the most disappointing thing was like the collapse in game two, where just the whole team, it felt like, was in their own heads, where they're like, okay, we can't hit a three right now. We can't hit a three, but they're giving
Yeah.
us open ones, so we're gonna take it. But we're just I'm not gonna make this, but I have to shoot it anyways. And it was like just calamitous. So I think it's like more about poise than coaching changes that need to happen. Um, which is kind of surprising from a defending championship team, but
Yeah,
it
they played like the
happens.
team that was tight and hadn't won a championship yet, it felt like.
Yeah,
And yeah.
yeah. So I mean, it happens, and obviously with the Tatum injury, but before that, Brown, Porzingis was basically a zero with his
Yeah.
illness. So there's a lot of other extenuating circumstances that were different from the year before as well. So yeah, and I'm still good with Joe Maz.
I'll have my
We
eye on
must
him, by the way. Just want that to be known. I feel like I joined the
I
Mavs
thought you were
side
a Joe
last.
Maz guy.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I feel like I joined the Mavs side last year, and these playoffs got me questioning some things. So I got my eye on
There
you,
was
Joe.
too, like just the fact he rode Porzingis for a long time and wasn't really playing Pritchard as much as I thought he should, and like going with that double big lineup a little more than I would have liked. A couple of decisions like that I didn't really agree with, but
But I mean, even in the last game of the series against the Knicks were absolutely dominating on the boards, and Cornette, who had an incredible game and effect the game before, and I
yeah,
feel like was a big factor in their win.
barely
He
played
played
almost.
what I don't even know how many he ended at, but I feel like he only played 9 minutes in the first half, maybe.
Yeah, he definitely didn't play as much
It
as I
wasn't
was
it wasn't a
expecting.
foul thing either. Like he just went away from it, but the size I feel like would have been big. So yeah, got my eye on Joe.
Well, we'll see. So I think you guys still have a bright future in the Baron East.
But for how long? That's the question. I mean,
Well, let's think
windows are
about
tight now, right? Windows are tight for championships. We've talked about this. If you're not home growing talent and optimizing star players on early year contracts, right? Rookie contracts even, but like Seth just said, like Porzingis and Drew, there's a big question because of the cap situation. If Tatum sits out, I think the entire year, the Celtics get a essentially mid-level exception that they can use to pick up a player, but that still means you got to drop someone, right? It doesn't give you an extra roster space. And then I think there's a lot of question about Al Horford, if I'm not mistaken, right? Whether he's coming back or not. So there we're gonna see a big change, and there's still two guys that take up a massive, massive amount of that cap space.
well, speaking of windows and how far they might be open, the other team that fell in this last round is the Cleveland Cavaliers, who were the one seed. And we all felt really good about going into the playoffs and felt like they could even give the Celtics a run for their money if they matched up in the Eastern Conference Finals. And they just kind of got destroyed by the Indiana Pacers. And yes, they were injured. Probably going to blame the injuries for this loss, but they just did not play well. They did not play well. They looked tight on offense. It looked like they couldn't figure anything out on offense. They let the Pacers walk all over them, get whatever they wanted on defense. I felt like they just fell apart, Seth. And like the coach of the year, Kenny Atkinson, I didn't think coached a great series. And if I were them, I would really be thinking hard about making some big changes in the offseason. Let me ask you this, Seth. Mobley for Giannis, who says no?
We've been talking about this. Um, I think the Cavs say no.
That I would definitely do it if I were them.
I
I'm
would
pretty
do
sure
it
the
as
Bucks
well.
say no to just Mobley.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so they're both
they probably
insulted
both
by the
say no.
offer.
Um,
I don't know why the Cavs would be insulted by that.
Yeah, well, Seth said he wouldn't do it, so
I would do it. I said the Cavs wouldn't do it.
oh yeah, it's a classic argument we've been having.
Don't get me
I
started.
I think the Cavs would might do it, honestly.
I think, yeah, agreed. The Cavs would, I think, more than likely do that trade. I don't think the Bucks offer that or would do it. That's not enough back for, again, a
Yeah,
top
they would have to
three
get draft
player
picks
of a
too.
generation.
I'm sure there'd be draft picks and salary compensation. I just feel like
Mobley,
I felt
Ty
so.
Jerome,
Hmm.
draft compensation. Now maybe we're talking. But then again, after the, I think we saw a player lose out on the most amount of money
Yeah,
ever
Ty Jerome.
in the
Yeah,
postseason, in a postseason series.
Ty Jerome or
yeah,
Sam Darnold, who lost more money?
right. Yeah, like Seth, what do they even do next season? Because you felt so confident going into the playoffs, and man, they look terrible.
I mean, honestly, I would probably just run it back. Uh, I think sometimes that just happens. You could, and they have the injuries as kind of an excuse. So could say, well, we'll hope we're have better injury luck next year. I mean, you can always improve on like their wing depth. They got DeAndre Hunter this year at the trade deadline. More guys like him who can shoot a little bit better probably would be ideal. But I wouldn't break up the core for unless it was for something enormous like Giannis.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the way I see it, right, and it's gonna change the way I think I approach different series going forward when we get to the playoffs. We talk, right? It was the thing that I brought up with the Thunder. Everybody always talks about the playoff scars. Atkinson did coach a hell of a regular season, but besides being on someone's staff, he doesn't have any type of head coaching experience in the playoffs, and I think that really
That's a good point.
showed.
That's a good
Um,
point.
I really think that was a big reason of the losses. Now we had some incredible comebacks from Indiana, but one of the things that I saw that I didn't like was the fact that it seemed like the Cavs were trying to keep up with and play at the Pacers' pace instead of trying to play their game where they could slow it down a bit. The Pacers are one of the best up-tempo teams in the league in general. Um, they're very tedious in what they do, how they do it, how they get inbounds in quickly, even off of a make, and kind of treat even made shots uh as um as coming off of a miss, essentially. And it seems like the Cavs were really trying to put kind of similar pressure when it's not something that they did all season long.
Hmm.
And there was a lot of time where I feel like he just it seemed like they didn't have an understanding of how to play the two bigs in this series, whether it should be together in some situations or separate them completely, which is kind of what he'd leaned to do late in the series. Well, late in the series, I guess, yeah, late the later games. So I think that we need to see now next year again. I think we run it back. I think the Cavs run it back and see how they can learn from this playoff run,
Hmm.
especially Atkinson as a coach, as to be composed, be yourself, do what you've practiced all year. Don't try to do something that you didn't work for all year for one matchup, essentially. Work on those things during the regular season. Be prepared for them now. Similar to what we saw right with the Wolves last year and things like that. So that's what I'm looking for.
Knicks Pacers, Eastern Conference Finals. Knicks are minus 145 favorites. I could see this being really one of those all-time classic series, to be honest. I kind of expected to go seven. Uh, Seth, who are you favoring in this Eastern Conference Finals?
I mean, maybe it's just my bitterness speaking, but I'm taking the Pacers. I've been more impressed with them throughout the course of the playoffs. I think,
More impressed with the team that didn't beat his, who he
yeah,
was extremely confident in.
yeah, I felt like it was more of a Celtics collapse than it was. I mean, Knicks took it for sure at different points, but um,
So you think that the Celtics lost the games, not that the Knicks won most of them? Same argument I had for the Pacers last year, and you guys laughed at me and said, well, it's a win's a win.
I'm still laughing at both of you.
anyways, uh,
They hate when I'm right.
I think the Pacers offense is harder to keep up with than anything the Knicks are doing. Um, and I think Tyrese is the type of guy who thrives in the adversity of Madison Square Garden. So I feel like he's just going to relish the ability to silence the crowd when they're there. But that being said, I mean, the Knicks have surprised me once already this playoffs. I could see it. I wouldn't be shocked if they won.
You going Pacers in six?
Um, I think six, yeah.
Our listeners will want to know that Nick's pick is also Pacers in six. Interesting. I'm going Knicks in seven. I think this is your classic up and down series, and the home team takes game seven. I really expect it to be kind of nip and tuck back and forth, and I think it's going to be an all-time classic. And I'm very excited for it. But I think the Knicks use that home court advantage in game seven to move on to the finals. Kyle, you're going to pick your Knicks, obviously.
That's correct. Yep.
And
Knicks.
four or five
I was teetering on five
or
or
three.
six actually. I might go five. Um, don't 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 pen me in for five yet. Pencil me in. I'm gonna tentatively say five for now. Obviously, I got a few days to sleep on it, but yeah, I mean, it was a tough series against Boston. There was a lot of obviously tenacity shown by the Knicks. Brunson proved that I think he's more or less an all-time great Knick already.
Easily.
I mean, they don't have
I
a lot of
think,
competition, to be
He's
honest.
already better than Carmelo. It's him and what, Walt Frazier and
yeah,
uh
Bernard
I'm running
King,
out of
Willis
names already.
Reed.
Bernard King, Willis Reed. That's probably
yeah.
it.
It's funny when you think about it because of like how storied supposedly of a
Right.
franchise the Knicks are. Where really they're just in such a high populous city that they're just one of those kind of franchises.
Like
Uh,
they're closer to the Jets than you really realize, you know what
I wouldn't go that far, but
I mean?
I think one of the big factors is going to be Mikal Bridges, right? Who had a very streaky season. Started off, everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, he's got a hitch in his shot. It looks terrible." Over the course of that Celtics series, he seemed to grow extremely confident in both his shot. Now, granted, there were a few games he shot very poorly, but he hit some extremely big shots when it mattered. And then the last two games, he looked very comfortable, especially in the mid range. Um, and I think that him being able to be confident and kind of be a guy that they can rely on to get to the lane and make some shots, uh, fading away, whatever it may be, as he kind of seems to do most. But
Yeah.
I think that's big for the Knicks. We've seen have the propensity to go off. He had a few 20 plus point games in the Boston series. So the big worry for me would be Pacers obviously have a relatively deep bench that they're confident in going with.
Yeah.
Whereas we know Tibbs has his guys. There's probably seven max that we would see play double-digit minutes. Um, and are they going to get gassed? I don't think so because again, the way Tibbs goes is we're just going to run them as much as we can during the regular season, and they're going to be ready for the playoffs. And it seems to have been working so far. Mr. Clutch Jalen Brunson shows up when it matters most. Um, so yeah, I think again too, I don't understand what's up with the Halliburton like some games where he shoots like three shots. Uh, if he's going to show up and do some of those, then I'm very confident in a Knicks win in those games. Um, but give me, yeah, I'm going Knicks. I think it's a good series, but I don't think it gets to seven.
So we got me and Kyle both have Thunder Knicks in the finals. Seth has Minnesota Pacers. Seth's finals would be the NBA's nightmare. The lowest, smallest market finals you can possibly have, pretty much. But it would be a Midwest orgy, baby.
I mean, OKC, Indiana wouldn't be much different. It's really they just want the Knicks in the finals, probably.
Adam Silver craves the Knicks in the finals.
Yeah.
Well, it'll be interesting. I think this is a very exciting Final Four. Like I said, we're gonna have something almost unprecedented in our lifetimes.
We'll have the
Whoever makes the
first,
finals.
what did I say earlier? First time in NBA history we'll have seven different champions in 7 years.
Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier. We're guaranteed to have our seventh champion in the last 7 years. So
Of
the parity's at
course,
an
you could say
all-time
that at
high.
any point.
Huh?
You said we're guaranteed to have our seventh champion in 7 years. You could
I
say
meant
that at any
seventh
point in
different
time.
champion. Yeah. So parity at an all-time high, apparently.
Just how we like it.
So me and Kyle, I assume, are going Thunder in the final to win the finals then.
As it stands, barring injuries.
Seth, you're gonna pick Minnesota to win the championship?
Why
He's
not?
just a homer. He's just a homer.
I mean,
Yeah,
if it was like
if Denver won this series, I was picking Minnesota to make it to the finals no matter what. And it would have been a much tougher decision
In Wolves
if
Knicks,
if
yeah.
the Knicks, yeah. Otherwise, if it was Wolves Pacers, there was no doubt I was picking Wolves in that scenario. So
The Pacers are
I
gonna
don't think it's
become
a
the
homer
first
thing. They're a really good basketball team.
the Pacers are
They're
gonna
fun.
become the first NBA team in history to win the finals on NBA TV.
Luckily for them, we're at a point in the postseason now where we don't have any of those.
I really like the Indiana like atmosphere where you have Caitlin Clark there on the Fever too, and like the two teams seem very like
Wish I had any clue what he was saying.
love the Pacers atmosphere.
you'll never know. Am I back or not? I can't even tell because
Yes,
you guys
yes,
Yeah,
aren't
you
you're
are.
back.
responding. I just said I like the Fever and the Pacers, their little relationship. That's all.
Agreed. Like it too.
I
If
got a
only
free
Tyrese could
Fever.
be as good as Caitlin Clark. Didn't even want him to say anything. The way it froze him right there.
How about the Timberwolves Lynx relationship?
True. That's very underrated. Ant and Fee, baby.
All right, can we get the hell out of here or what?
Is
Seth needs to go back to the bathroom. He's been holding it in. Kyle, please send our listeners off into the conference finals with something to wet their whistles while they go about their workday during this week.
Well, it's a joyous time to be a Thunder Western Conference supporter for many years and a Knicks Eastern Conference supporter for the last handful of years, like myself.
Handful, it's crazy.
handful
One and a
He means
half?
he only has one finger on each hand.
Uh, so yeah, I mean, I'm gonna go to sleep tonight, and I hope you all do too. Dreaming of in a few weeks getting a clash of the orange and blues.
Go Bears.